Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where there is a very exciting day ahead, something I am really looking forward to. We've just collected and brought back to the Shmuseum this fabulous blue potsy Ferrari GTC4Lusso, marking a return of a V12 to the Shmeemobiles. Well, I might have teased and mentioned that V12s are perhaps even better when they come in pairs, and today we are collecting another V12 Shmeemobile, something I stumbled into rather by accident recently when we were at McGurk Performance Cars to drop off my original Shmeemobile, the V8 Vantage Roadster, for its full inspection, maintenance and service, and happened to see their lovely midnight blue 2011 Aston Martin DBS. Well, I could not resist, as you could probably tell from the videos, and today we are heading up to McGurk's in the GTC4Lusso to collect my Aston Martin DBS. Not only is today the first proper outing in the newly acquired Lusso, but there are a few fun connections about buying this DBS. So my first ever sports car, you could say, the Aston Martin Vantage Roadster, is in glacial blue. The GT8 that I've owned now for about 5 years is in cobalt blue, and the DBS is in midnight blue, a bit of a blue crew with the Aston Martins in the collection. That was very much my era, we could say. Back when I owned that Vantage Roadster, I very much lusted after a DBS, never purchased one before, but did previously own a Vanquish Volante, which I basically went out looking for a DBS and ended up buying a Vanquish because the step up wasn't that far. Well, back at the time I owned the Vanquish, I also had the predecessor to this car, the FF, the two very different V12s in the garage, and now we're going to have the Lusso and the DBS together, and I think the colours side by side are going to be magnificent, both with silver wheels, absolutely spot on. So we've got the drive up ahead of us on board the Lusso. The colour combination of this car completely sold it to me, as you might have seen in some of the videos, and then you have the sound and the engine. So let's get this started. Look at this, the Sabia with blue interior, stunning. We'll get this started and get ready to get out on the road today. Yes, let's do this then. I think good times are ahead, collecting a DBS. Can't believe this is happening. Right, let's get to McGurk's and see the new car. It is fairly busy today, but we do thankfully have some very on-side weather. For this time of year, it is glorious. And I know I talk about the weather far too often, but I am British and it is what we love to do. And we are collecting a very British car today, the DBS, Aston Martin, in their prime. I think a very, very good looking car, if not the best looking car that they have ever made, besides the 177. The 177 absolutely takes that title, but the DBS was really defining of an era. It was a Bond car, and for that reason, in fact, most of them are in the original Casino Royale, in the kind of dark silver or grey or black or something not particularly inspiring. There are very few DBSs from that generation in colours. The new generation, the DBS Superleggera, you can get in any colour you want, but back then people didn't tend to order them other than white, and Morning Frost white is beautiful, Casino Royale, one of the other silvers, Lightning Silver for example, or just straight black. And I like a bit of colour in the garage, so when I saw this car when we were there visiting, it just stood out a mile away. So we've basically got an hour and a half, 2 hours or so of cruising on the motorways to actually get there. We'll have a stop very shortly, grab a bite to eat, that kind of stuff, before we get there to the car, up to McGurk, and I guess we'll see the Vantage Roadster as well. We're taking a quick pause on the journey to thank the sponsor of today's video, Revolut. Now, Revolut is a free financial super app used by over 16 million people to help with payments, spending and sending money abroad, instantly splitting bills, rewards and cash back, and even allowing you to personalize your card. I've gone with the gold metal card. Of course, I've added the Shmee 150 text. We've got a car graphic on there, but you can choose different colors, you can add various emojis, and you can even do freehand sketches on it as well to make your own. Revolut is the one app for all things money. In terms of rewards, you can make significant savings at selected brands including Amazon, Apple and Nike, and here in the UK you can even save up to 30% at some of your favourite restaurants. And talking of restaurants, we need to go and grab a quick bite to eat before we get back on the road in the Lusso to head to McGurk's. Back on the road and not long to go now. I cannot wait. This is our exit off the M1. We've got another little bit of motorway to drive, about half an hour or so until we get to McGurk Performance Cars. The DBS is awaiting. One of the best things with this car is that downshift sound, and the beauty of where we are right now is that it will completely open up in front of us in a second and we will get a lovely little bit of acceleration. What's fascinating is how different this car is to the DBS. We'll talk more about that on the first drive when we've picked it up. A bit of open road and plenty of V12 to enjoy. Although only enjoy to a controlled extent. This is a famous road where they love to have lots of cameras everywhere. But look, the way this opens up, beautiful. What a place to be driving. I guess we'll probably come back the other way later on the exact same route. But for now, being back in the Lusso and just enjoying more of this sound, the way it shifts, the dual clutch, it's magical. And you forget how loud it is straight out of the box as well. Obviously, stock setup at the moment. This car just feels so new. It's a few years old. It's done 11,000 miles, but it feels like it's just been made 6 months ago or something. It's really, really well together. So this was a good buy. And we're heading to McGurk, where of course we decided to take the Vantage Roadster because they have a fabulous reputation as an independent to work on a car like that. It's about 12, 13 years old. Oh, that was, I know that green Vantage. I don't know if you saw it on the camera, but it's a modified Vantage CTR. I never expected to see that on the road. Anyway, we're going to McGurk. Like I said, they have a great reputation. Quite a few people I know have taken their older Astons, particularly the Vantages of this generation, to them to be worked on. They've done a full inspection, found lots of things on the car that need changing or updating to keep it in perfect shape, which we're covering in full as the restoration series on the Shmuseum channel. But that's when we went to go and look at some of the cars they have for sale as well, and were kind of blown away by the stock and the different cars in the showroom. And in particular for me, it was this DBS. Now, the moment I saw it for the first time, it's literally on camera. Tom was off to look at a Jaguar XJ220. I saw the DBS, and yeah, the rest is history and has led us to where we are now. We are back then. We're about to arrive, but just up here, behind where you can't really see at the moment on the left, is going to be the car we have come to see. So we need to head on round. I guess the Vantage is properly inside because we're outside of normal hours at the moment. In fact, there's nothing outside, no Aston Martins for us to enjoy, but nonetheless, we'll go park up somewhere and go work out exactly what we need to do. It's actually quite strange. I've only come before when everything's been fully opened. So, in here, we have a bit of a reversing camera, not necessarily the best, probably better than whatever the DBS has. Let's go say hello and go see if we can find the new car. I cannot wait for this. Right, let's do it. In we go. The sun has rather disappeared behind the clouds and it is very cold outside, but we've dealt with all of the papers. So let's go inside then, where I can see the car is waiting. Let me close the door. Keep as warm as we possibly can to come and show you this here at McGurk in a showroom filled with some lovely Aston Martins to show you. But the thing with DBSs is that they're nearly all either in silver, grey, black, or perhaps in white, with the exception of this one, my midnight blue Aston Martin DBS, quite literally my DBS, as you can see from the plate. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Super rare then to have one in a different colour. There are a few green ones and red ones out there, but midnight blue I had never seen before. Of the 30 or so DBSs currently advertised for sale in the UK, this is the only one that is not in greyscale. That's why I was immediately drawn to it when seeing it here. We've got the contrast of the chrome slats for the grille at the front, the silver wheels, but it's one of the most beautiful Aston Martin designs of all time. Marek Reichmann's first Aston Martin design for which he was responsible. I think the rear of the car looks fabulous. This is the 6-speed auto version. You can have the DBS with a manual. There's a price premium for those. In fact, this black car is actually a manual one, but for me, with the manual GT8 in my garage, this is more the GT, especially with its 6-litre V12. But what a stunning car. It is just beautiful to look at. The colour suits it so very, very well. So here it is, the new Shmumobile, the Midnight Blue DBS. At the moment, my Vantage is over on the ramps at the service side. It is not that car behind me, but we'll be ready for collection again very soon. And we'll also take a proper look around here. But back when I originally owned that car in 2010, it was not only my first Aston Martin, but also my first ever, let's say, serious sports car. I took it on some great trips, went to France a few times, to Paris, to Monaco, to the south of France, went to plenty of different events, and it felt like owning a baby supercar, but I always wanted to upgrade it to one of these. Alas, at the time, the DBS was out of my budget. I went for an R8 Spider in the end, but I always thought the DBS would make for the perfect road trip car. It is a GT and one of the finest GTs out there, and this is a nice segue into how Revolut allows you to spend abroad like a local. They have no hidden fees, great exchange rates. You can also send and receive money internationally at great rates as well. Plus, you also have the ability to make free instant transfers to Revolut accounts in other countries across Europe, the US, Japan, Singapore, and Australia as well, all connected to your Revolut account. I do want to take you on a tour around though, so we'll do that now and go see the other cars here and a better look at the DBS. If you like this era of Aston Martins, McGurk have an amazing selection from the Rapide and the DB9s to all of the DBSs, the Casino Royale spec. We also have the original V12 Vantage. They also have a little speedster tucked in at the end as well, as it happens. Different Vantages, the 4.3s and the 4.7s. If we keep coming through, we've got a Vanquish just here. So this is the 4.3 pre-facelift Vantage, so the original one. There are quite a few glacial blue cars out there, in fact. You can spot the different wheel design. There was an upgrade as well to the infotainment and the waterfall central console, but very few 4.7s in that colour. We've got a V12 Vantage S Roadster, stunning. Plenty of other lovely things if we come on through, including the Jaguar XJ220 just chilling there. Another V12 S Roadster. Back here, another midnight blue Vantage that happens 4.3, plus some rather nice cars around. As you can see, F40 DB5, Cosworth Golf, an old Rolls Royce just here as well. Plenty of lovely things. But let's come back to the DBS. We need to have a look at the engine and talk a bit more about the spec of the newest Shmuseum. Look at this parked here though. I really, really like that rear end look with the integrated ducktail spoiler. You've got those clear tail lights as opposed to the red ones, the exhaust pipe sitting in the middle of the carbon fiber diffuser. We have the swan doors, so when you open them, press in here, pull this out, open up. We've got the grey Alcantara and black leather inside. Technically it's a 2+2, but I'm not sure you'd want to squeeze any unfortunate passengers into the back. There's not a whole lot of space there. This car's done about 28,000 miles. It's not loads. It's obviously about, well, 11 years old now. It's been serviced properly all the way throughout. A known customer to McGurk had it previously. And in fact, let me just come and find the lever, give that a pull so we can go and have a little look. And obviously that's always important. You want to have the car in good hands, and McGurk warranty it, and of course it will come for the annual servicing with them as well. Opening this then, the latch is there. Look at that. It's a work of art. Badged as a 6-litre, although technically it's a 5.9 V12, but you won't see me complaining. It's an immensely torquey engine. We've got the 6-speed auto, but an engine that gives more than enough power. Officially it's 510. It's not a car that's going to blow anything away on a racetrack or anything like that. I intend to very much use this as a GT, maybe even in some ways a let's say daily driver or just general cruiser. Close it back down, click that into place. The wings badge sitting at the front. We've got the carbon splitter down here as well. But just the way it's presented, these openings that you have on the bonnet, I think it's a beautiful thing. As I said, the swan doors that just come up and out slightly. Now part of my trio of Aston Martins. Back here, pop open the boot. You can see what I mean. We've got a decent amount of space when combined as well with the back seats. The smart charger port for the CTEC is just in here, so we can plug that in at the back. No issues keeping it in good shape longer term. And then when we come round, this is part of the fun with the ECU, the emotional control unit, the key for the car with the crystal top that goes in here, and then with a press in, start it up. Oh yes, such a different sound to the Lusso, but such a good sound. So we've done everything we need to do, and I guess very shortly we can pull it on out and go for the first drive and head back with the 2 V12s towards the Shmuseum. This is pretty crazy. Look at these two together then, the first time with the 2 V12s, very similar colours but just different, slightly pearlescent metallic in the midnight blue versus the straight, very dark navy of Blue Potsy, but two fantastic automobiles, the best of British, the best of Italian when it comes to V12s, the 6-litre Aston lump alongside the 6.3-litre Ferrari lump. Right, it's cold, it's windy, we're going to hop on board. It is a huge thanks to the team here at McGurk, but let's get this and that back to the Shmuseum. Off we go then. We've just had the two cars, obviously side by side, two rumbling and grumbling engines that actually drive really quite differently in terms of throttle feel, brake feel, etc. But we're going to make our way out. Oh, listen to that gentle grumble in the background. It's such a different sound, in fact. Obviously a car that's also run in, ready to rock and roll. Obviously the first time I've seen the Lusso being driven from outside of it as well. But yeah, here we are. This car has also the fabulous B&O sound system, so it has the tweeters that rise up out of the dashboard. Oh, there we go. So in the DBS, when you pop it into gear by pulling a shift paddle, it's then manual. If you press D in the center, it's then in drive. You've got the sport mode, which makes it even more responsive and a little bit louder. It's such a different noise. And it's also very, 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 very cold at the moment. It says it's 9 degrees. It doesn't feel like 9 degrees. With the wind chill, it feels more like kind of 2 degrees. Something very, 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 very brisk. Anyway, let's make our way slowly and carefully with all of the speed bumps here out and towards hopefully a little bit of open road before we have the motorway and the nightfall. Out onto a more open road. Obviously we've got a cold engine at the moment, so just taking it super easy. It is really cold, and of course the car has been stationary for the last couple of weeks, so we want to warm it up properly, especially with an engine like this. But in any case, what you hear in here with the valves effectively opened is this really deep grumble. It's a very different sound to the engine in the Lusso. Obviously the gearbox isn't quite as sharp being an auto as opposed to being a dual clutch, but my Vanquish that I owned was actually the facelift, the 2015, so it had the 8-speed auto, and I'd always worried that the 6-speed that this has and the earlier Vanquishes had wouldn't really be up to the task, but it's actually not that bad, and it suits the character of this car. Basically you're going to leave it in automatic and just chill and cruise with it and enjoy the drive. This is really cool. I love that I'm driving my DBS. I know this sounds very strange, but for such a long period I really dreamt of having one of these. More of a Volante, to be honest, at the time than the Coupe, but now I think the Coupe's lines are so nice, and obviously having my Vantage Roadster from the same era, I felt that the Coupe was more suited for this, and also having the GT8 with the manual is why the automatic. So if you think about the three cars, because I'm never going to sell any of them, these are three, I think, permanent Shmuseum, we can say. Yes, and then you get all those grumbles. I doubt you can hear that on the camera in the same way I can driving it. Just some really nice noises. So 3 permanent blue Shmuseum in the collection, I think. And a bit of a cruise from here onwards towards the motorways. We've got to have a listen, enjoy the sound of this. We're back, and the two cars are side by side then here at the Shmuseum. 2 Shmuseums with V12s, but I want to talk about the number plate. So it is of course on my 11 DBS. That is the previous registration. We have not yet changed it over as I do with many of the other cars, but let me come and show you what we have to go on this car exactly. Inside here, SH09 MEE. Now the reason for the 09 is because while I'd have loved 07 to have some cheesy 007 James Bond connections, unfortunately SH07 me reads a bit like shot me, and the government never released that, so that's not available. 09 works with this because the DBS was based on the DB9, so it seemed appropriate. Obviously these are date linked, so you can't have a plate on a car that makes it look newer than it actually is. It's all very complicated. So for this, it's going to be SH09 MEE. You'll have noticed the quote at the bottom the world is changing, and if we stand still, we become dinosaurs. That's a quote from Marek Reichman. He was actually talking about the new DBS, but it seemed appropriate to have his name linked to this. I have a few other different quotes on the various cars, one of my own on the Vantage Roadster, and one from Dr. Andy Palmer, who was CEO at the time that the GT8 was delivered and did the final inspection on my GT8. So a bit of fun to have Marek's link to this as well. Maybe one day he'll see this on the car in person. But yeah, that's the plan for the DBS. Well, all I can say is that these two look awesome together, side by side, here at the Shmuseum. The two new V12 Shmumobiles, but what a day heading out to pick up this car. And under the lights in here, the midnight blue looks immense. I think it suits the shapes, the lines of the DBS very, very well. Those chrome accents. Also, we've got things like the carbon fiber mirror arms here at the base of the A-pillars, but I think this really is one of the best looking Aston Martin models ever. My DBS running those plates for now, very suitable for the car, but of course eventually it will join the family lineup. But the two of these side by side, such different cars, but both phenomenal engines done in very, very different ways also. But today, heading up to McGurk to collect this car. It is a big thanks to John, Lloyd, Matt and the team at McGurk Performance Cars for both looking after the V8 Vantage Roadster and of course also everything to do with the DBS. And I'm sure they will be servicing these cars long into the future and perhaps the GT8 as well. But it's crazy to think that my Vantage Roadster is a 2009 car. It's now approaching 13 years old. This is 11 years old, 2011. And I really want to preserve these cars into the future, to enjoy the ownership, to drive them from time to time, but of course also to look after them properly and to keep them on the roads, because newer cars might have better technology. You know, this doesn't really have, well, you can't play music on USB or with Bluetooth, and the nav system isn't even worth opening. But it's not about that. It's about the engagement, the enjoyment, the sound, the engineering at that time and what it represents. And I think Lusso does exactly that with Ferrari's screaming V12. The DBS does it with this grumbly V12 from Aston Martin as well. So 3 Astons in the collection. We should do something pretty fun with those down the line. Perhaps a Blue Crew Aston Martin adventure or trip, maybe something really soon. In fact, it'd be quite cool to go to collect the Vantage Roadster with the DBS and the GT8. Maybe that will come soon on the Shmuseum channel. Today though, thank you very much to everybody involved in this. Thank you to you guys for your support as always. And today, especially thanks to Revolut. You can sign up in minutes, it's free, and there is a £20 welcome bonus as well. All the information can be found with the link down below, so do go and check that out. For now though, thank you very much as always, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.